friends. I'm here with 16-year-old filmmaker and dream chaser, Nichelle Joi. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time out of your day with me. And everyone, you heard that correctly. I said she's 16, so I had to catch her as soon as she got out of school. Like she was running from the bus stop to get to her house so we can like connect. So I'm super excited. This girl is so talented. She's a filmmaker, entrepreneur, like everything we wish we could have done at 16. She's done it. She's done it in triple fold. Like she's on it. So Nichelle, I have to ask, who are you and what makes you you?
Well, as you all heard, my name is Nichelle Joi. I am 16 years old. I am a full-time high school student. I'm a junior at Homewood Flossmoor High School. I am a violinist, dancer, writer, and aspiring filmmaker. I have been doing a lot of these things for like a big majority of my life, but something that is new is filmmaking, of course, and it is something that I want to go into during college and stuff. Trying to think. Who is Nichelle Joi? I've written 4 books. My first one I wrote when I was in the 4th grade, and they've just gone up from there. And my most recent book, My Camera and Me, came out late last year, I believe, in like September. So I think I covered it all.
Holy cow, 4 books. I mean, so let's talk about the books really fast. How did that start? Did like the first one start as a picture book, a chapter book? Are these like, what are your books looking like? Are they for young kids, teens, for everyone? What's the situation?
Yeah, so I write children's books, mostly directed to children, at least, because of course, when I wrote the first one, I was a kid. So it's easiest to like relate with people my age and younger. My very first book didn't start out like as I'm gonna write a book. Like, yeah, I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to be an author like at all in 4th grade. Like that was something that was kind of lame to me at that time, and I just didn't want to associate with it. But we had a school assignment, and she told us to write a short story about her cat. And I wrote the short story, and I had so much fun with it that I wanted to just like keep writing these little short stories about animals and inanimate objects and people and stuff. And I did that, and it all came into a short story book. My mom is a publisher, and she was like, "You're not about to keep all this paper around the house. We're gonna do something with it." So
Nice.
we were able to make it into my first book, and it's kind of been going up from there.
Awesome. Now you mentioned a whole long list of accomplishments just before talking about being a dancer and filmmakers, your newest accomplishment and your books. How did you do this at such a young age? Because obviously there's people who are driven and there's people who are ambitious, but then there are people like you who are young and have the ambition and the execution of the dream or the project. How did you do this?
I mean, really, I can't give myself all the credit. I really have to like pay my respects to like my community and my family and my parents specifically. English. I've heard a lot of people like tell me or ask me like, who is like your biggest inspiration, or who do you like look up to? And you expect like a celebrity or someone, but it's my mom. Like really, I have to say my mom every single time because of the things that she's been through as a kid, and like where she's brought me as a person and where she's brought our family as a people. And I just really feel like I can't give myself all the credit for the things that I've done because of the people that I've come from and because of the opportunities that they've helped me come into. So
incredible. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they either want to blame the mom for something bad, but they don't want to credit her for something good. So that's awesome. That is super, super awesome. You did talk a little bit about how some of your short stories began, or your first book began with just writing short stories about inanimate objects and a cat and, just little things that popped up in your life. What are some other types of stories you write? Are you into poetry? Did you ever read, what's her name, Roald Dahl and like Shel Silverstein? I'm trying to date myself here, remember the authors I read as a youth. So like who helped you kind of get your voice and guide you in the type of writing you do?
Yeah, so oh my gosh, I love that you asked that. In the 2nd and 3rd grade, there's a series called The Magic Tree House.
I love that series.
Yes, and they have like billions of books literally like just written out. And when I tell you, I would read one of those every day. Like I would literally just like sit there for like 3 hours and just read the whole book. And really, I think that's where a lot of my creative process might have came from in that time, at least because of the the animals, the inanimate objects that they use and like how they describe them and how they make them do things and stuff. That really probably inspired me at that time. So definitely those. And then as I got older, I got into a series named the Benedict Society, the Mysterious Benedict Society. And they're these.
Is that a show? I think they made that a show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was about to say the title sounds familiar.
I can't say anything about the show because I haven't seen it yet. So, I probably should because I was such a fan back then, but we'll see about that. But yeah, they're these thick books, like literally this thick. And there were like 5 of them in the series. And I remember just going through them. So that was also definitely a big inspiration that probably went into my creative writing process at that age. So definitely those 2 series like really inspired what I did.
I have to ask on a personal level, when I was your age, I was journaling. I was just writing in a diary. I mean, I wasn't necessarily saying dear diary. I mean, I would just be like, today this happened to me. Do you journal at all? Like, I mean, you're doing so much writing. Like, do you feel like you even have any like juice or energy left at the end of the day to like, have a little personal notebook for yourself?
Honestly, I think I've tried journaling like a few times in my life, but like it didn't work out too much, mostly because I'm lazy and I don't like physically writing stuff. But I will say that like when I have random things happen that like may be like a staple in my life at that moment that I want to remember, I have this whole list in my notes app and it's labeled years and it's literally a list of like things, staples in my life that I want to remember. And it's like a ton of different things and stuff. And I just write it down in there and stuff. But otherwise, I'm religious. So if I'm not writing something and I really want to like talk about something, I would talk to God or something. I'll pray about it or something. But yeah, I've never been like a real journaling type of person. I should probably like try to type something maybe if I don't want my wrist to get a cramp. But yeah.
I feel you. I'm not the best journalist, or that didn't come out right because I am a journalist. Let me rephrase that. I'm not the best at journaling myself. I'll buy notebooks when they're on sale at the store and I'll keep a journal probably for 3 years. I don't write in it every day. I may write significant events or like recipes I think sound interesting, but for me, a journal is so many things. So I totally understand what you're saying. And I think that's very cool. And I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I tend to end up praying and, putting my thoughts and meditation out into the universe and whatnot, and, kind of seeking mental clarity that way instead of through writing. Everything you're saying is super impressive. And I have to ask, with your exploration as an author, I know your journey is just beginning. What is one marker you hope to leave with your work? Like, what's one thing you're like, you hope everybody gets a certain type of feeling when they read your work, or that you made a huge impact, societally speaking, you made people stop and think about how they act? What's that one impact you want to leave as a writer?
Probably that last thing you said. Like I do write children's books, but recently I've been really getting into poetry and stuff and like seeing how people communicate different things by using very like simple concepts. I love that kind of contradicting, like contrasting type of thing. You're saying so much but so little at the same time. So I think a goal that I do want to reach is to be able to write something that like really, you have to put the book down. You're like, whoa. You have to like think to yourself for a moment and even like go talk to someone, because I feel like it's books like those that can really change people's lives. Like even if you don't even if it doesn't affect your actions in the moment, I know it's one of those things that you will continue thinking about like forever. Like you will never stop being able to think about that every time you pick up a book. So I definitely think that's something that I want to be able to write in the future. Just something you look at and you're like, wow. You have to think about it for a second. You have to like sit back and like process things.
Absolutely. I have to ask, because you're young, you probably are learning this lesson. You're young and you're great. How do you handle haters? How do you handle people behind your back being like, man, she didn't do that? Like, man, it's probably her mom who did that. Like, how do you handle that?
Honestly, at that point you just ignore them, because and then you get to say like, once you get up there and stuff, then you're like, okay, well, if you're getting my money, then you can say something to me, but for now keep struggling over there. But yeah, really just ignoring people, especially over the years, like you said, I've been able to develop a thick skin for things like that. You can't let everything hurt you. And that's something hard to say because then people are like, oh, well, like it does hurt, words do hurt, but like you can't let it get you because then you're not going to be able to get anywhere. So that's something that I definitely did have to learn and like intake in myself, because if I let everyone kind of get into my head, then I'm not going anywhere. So just ignoring stuff at that point and just residing in my talents and in my money and in my blessings.
Of course. And that's like really, it's incredible. It's hard to learn it young, but you're also very fortunate for learning that lesson young, because people go their whole life and struggle with learning that lesson. I want to circle back and talk about your filmmaking. You're up and coming in the world of film. You just had an independent film come out recently, and a lot of people don't realize how much kind of funding goes into independent films. And I'd love to hear kind of your process for getting your community to stand behind you or getting funding for that. Let's kind of start on the wider behind the scenes end of things and work our way into talking about the film. So how did you kind of get people to rally behind you? Or, because you're an established author, you already had kind of the financial means to really start making something happen with a film.
Yeah, so I started film. I really started like getting into it my freshman year of high school because my high school provides a film program. It's like a film class that we're able to take. And of course, that was during COVID, unfortunately. But I was able to know that I had a passion for it because I was able to do things in film without the equipment that they offered. I knew I was like passionate about it because when I made films with my phone, I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed it with doing like real equipment and stuff. So as far as funding, I don't have to deal with a lot of that because I'm blessed enough to have a school that really provides a lot of those things for me. So they have high grade cameras and audio and lighting, and like they just provide a lot for us because we have a really good arts program. But as far as the rest of it, it's really adjusting to using what I have. Something that's definitely been a problem is like actors and finding places to be able to film and stuff. But it's really good when you're out of high school because then you have the people from the theater program that want to act and stuff, and you have the people who aren't in the theater program that want to get into acting anyway. And we're lucky enough to have a really cool, like small community that they allow us to go and film places like in restaurants and in libraries and things like that. So it's definitely using what you have and like being creative with it because everyone else uses it too. But yeah, I'm really blessed to have like the community that I have in the school and everything that they're able to provide for us.
That's another key characteristic you have that will set you up for success, and that is resilience. That is what I heard from that statement right there, using what you have to the best of your abilities. And believe me, again, that is another life skill. You're lucky you're learning this so young, and you're able to possibly inspire your peers and get them encouraged. It's really like you are a blessing in yourself, like blessing the people around you. So that is just super awesome. I love hearing that. I do want to ask, in general, you're saying you just got into film and like, finding your storytelling voice through the visual medium. How is that journey going for you? How do you feel like you're evolving and you're changing? Because you're right now at the beginning of that age range where every day you're growing and changing, and it may not even feel like you're growing and changing. You're going to say, when I'm 26, I'm going to be the exact same at 26. No. You're growing now. And believe me, when you hit your 20s, those feel like leaps and bounds and decades of growth. By the time you get to 26 and 28 and 30, you're gonna be like, wow, like I grew, I grew. My personality, the way I look at the world has changed so much. So how is that coming along for you as a filmmaker, as an author, as an entrepreneur? How's your vision and your storytelling ability changing as you grow?
I can definitely see the improvement, of course, of like me now versus fourth grade me as far as writing, looking at like the first chapter book I did, which was the second book that I wrote. It was supposed to be a short story in the short stories book, but it got way too long. Just reading that over, I remember like a year ago, I read that again and I was like, what is this? Like, what am I doing here? But my mom, she had to talk to me. She was like, you were 10. Like, what do you expect to come out of a 10-year-old? If anything, it's really good. But as far as seeing improvement and stuff, I can definitely see the way I was thinking of things and the way I put that on paper versus the way I think of things and the way I change the way I'm able to put them on paper, if that makes sense. So for example, I've noticed in the past few months that fourth grade me, I described on my papers everything what I thought in my head. So if I saw it in a scene, basically. This is where the film things kind of come in. I saw it like as if it was on a screen. If I saw someone in a red shirt with blue jeans, I would say the girl was in a red t-shirt, flat iron down with some beautiful ripped blue jeans and red Converse or something. I would describe every last thing that I would see into the books that I wrote. And I keep seeing that like very constantly, and that kind of lets me know, okay, so you were basically a filmmaker since then, really, because the things that you saw and the way I was able to put them on the paper. And as far as filmmaking, I can see my improvement in the way I'm able to convey messages through film. So if it's one thing, that's also something that you learn in general as a filmmaker, just how to progress in the way you're able to show what you mean. So freshman year, if there's a dialogue scene and I wanted to show that one person was tapping the other person, it would be just one flat shot of one person, hey, but now I'm able to get behind the person, get an over the shoulder shot of like you tapping the person or something like that, or using just different angles, making it look kind of funky to make it feel different and stuff. I've noticed that I'm able to come up with more creative ways to be able to make it different, because film, that's one of the hardest things with film. It's one of the hardest places to break into because everyone is trying to do the same thing. There's so many things that you can do with a camera, which is essentially an eyeball and a screen and actors and stuff and the people that you have on the screen. Everything has been done before, so it's just about how you can change it to make it different. So yeah, that's also something that I do want to improve in, just seeing more ways that I can convey a message on a screen and how I can make things more interesting to make it set out from the rest.
I mean, really, you're so impressive just hearing you talk. I'm like so mesmerized by like your level of maturity and how much you want to grow. Like I'm like, you're 16. Like I'm shocked because you're just so poised and elegant and like you're really just what you're going for. And I think that's so impressive, especially at your age. Like when I was your age, I mean, I really didn't know what I was going to be, to be honest. I really thought I was still going to go be like a fashion designer or something. I was like, I'm going to do it. But it's so impressive to hear you taking something that when you're a kid, it's like, yeah, I want to be a filmmaker. Yeah, I want to be an author. But again, it's that you flipped that and you turned it into reality. You made a product, you pushed it out there. I have to ask, I know you credit your mom with a lot of your success and your inspiration, but where does the creativity come from?
The media I intake, most definitely. Like I said, I took a lot of the inspiration for author things from like Magic Tree House and the Mysterious Benedict Society. As far as movies, I think it's just literally every single piece of film that I've seen in my whole life, because there has to be some type of research out there somewhere that like you may not specifically remember every single thing that you see, but your brain takes it somewhere and it intakes it, and I definitely feel like my brain takes stuff out of the deep depths of the brain somewhere and it puts it out onto like what I do in order to get some of the things that I think of for film. I will say though, a director that I definitely like kind of look up to is Jordan Peele. And personally, I am no horror fan. Do not take me to the movie theater to see a horror movie. I will not come. But just, I really love the way he conveys everything that he does on the screen. Like, and the way you can go from like a show like Key and Peele, from being a comedian to a movie like Get Out or Us or anything that he's, nope, like, what, but I find it really cool to just study the way that like he conveys his messages through films and stuff, and the way all the little details that he includes that you never catch, and just the way he does film, the way that he directs and stuff. So he's definitely someone that I've been looking into to try and get inspiration from.
Absolutely. I love his work too. One of my favorite Key and Peele episodes was It was one where they were like setting up the scene. It was like a news broadcast, like a cult. Basically, they all unalived themselves except for the two of them. And you see the one guy go off screen. He's like, why couldn't we just wait for them to beam us up? And then they got beamed up in the end. I have to ask, I am actually a huge fan of the Twilight Zone, like the very original ones that came out in I think that was the 60s. But have you seen any of the ones he's done? Out of curiosity, since you're a fan of him.
I have not. I have to look into that.
I definitely want to watch it, but I totally agree with your analysis on his work. Just like, how can you go from like something that's super satirical and funny, but still very undercuttingly witty to something as like sinister and scary as Get Out and Nope and Us, and it's still like that underlying political message. And I think if you ever did have the time, it's on Netflix, but you should watch the old Twilight Zones, because they kind of have that same feeling that you're talking about with his work. So I think you would maybe enjoy a few of those episodes, and you can get back to me on how you feel about them. They're not scary, they're just like, they make you think, and they're kind of goofy because they look bad just because it was filmed in the 1960s, so obviously the technology wasn't there, but the messages really are timeless that they talk about, and it's like really incredible.
Oh yeah.
You are a Renaissance woman, clearly. Like, you're talented, you're into the arts, you do film, you do music, you do dance, you do writing, you play an instrument. Like, you've got the eye, you've got the ear, you've got the thoughts for it. What are some other areas you want to explore? Are you like a financial guru I don't know about? Like, what's going on? Are you a car guru? Like, what are some other areas you're like, as soon as I get into this, I'm going to own it?
Honestly, that's hard because like I am no math fan. I am no like real sports fan or anything. Really, all of what I like to do is like within the arts area. But I will say, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be like in martial arts or something. I wanted to do the karate and the jujitsu, or like something that like had those moves and stuff. I still want to do that. That would definitely be something that I want to look into. At least when I have like free time or something, because I find that really cool. Just like the way you can engage technique and strength and flexibility, and it's like dance, but it's not graceful, you know? So that's definitely something I would want to look into.
I feel like we're speaking on the same wavelength here, because that was me. I'm not math, I'm not science oriented. As an adult, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like 28 years later, I get it. Like, it took me that long to figure out multiplication and like exponents and chemistry. But yeah, and what's crazy is the whole thing with the martial arts. Like, I literally started taking kickboxing in my 28th year of life. I'm like, I'm too old for karate, but I can still learn something here or there. It's really very fun. I would say you should try that out too while you have the chance and the time. I'm sure you would enjoy it. And it, again, you never know. Like, I will say this, another thing I was not expecting to get into is being able to fix my own car, and it's so rewarding. Like, I literally 2 weeks ago took the front bumper off my car to replace some lights. Like, you have no idea what you know what you're capable of, but you may think I could never, but if you've done this, you can definitely do that. Like, believe me, like, you have the infinite amount of power just in the tip of your finger with everything you've achieved. And it's just so incredible just talking with you. What are just some other things you enjoy about being a creative that you're like, wow, like, I never thought I can push myself to this level of creativity, or I didn't even know this thought or this design concept was in the back of my head and I was able to pull it out?
Definitely seeing the end product after all the work you've done. And I think that can like really apply to anything, like in any type of genre, subject, etc. But really seeing, like, as a dancer, I went to the Debbie Allen Dance Academy Summer Intensive last year in California. I was able to stay there for the month and take their intensive. Seeing the things I could do at the end of the month versus what I could do at the beginning was insane. Like, it had me seriously reconsidering like my career pathway. I was like, should I audition for Broadway or something? Like, should I do something else? Even in film, looking at the final result of a film, you're like, whoa, this looks absolutely dope. Like, and you never thought it would turn out that way. And in writing, the poetry that I can write now, the stories that I can tell now versus when I was in fourth grade, it's so powerful looking at something that you make in general and like you're thinking this could change my life if I saw it for the first time. You know, just trying to see it from that different perspective. That's definitely one of my like favorite things about doing what I do. Just seeing the improvement and seeing the it, you know, and just thinking like, whoa, this is like actually pretty good, and knowing that all the work beforehand was worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. When I edit my interviews, I'm like, I asked that question. I swear I black out in interviews. I just, they send me a press kit. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. I got it. And then I start talking, and then it's like, my mind hears things, and then I'm editing. I'm like, oh, wow, like this ended up way different. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying with that. I have to ask, with filmmaking and even with your writing, do you ever see yourself stepping into like mainstream media, television, movie production type situation? Or, you feel like this is just something you want to stay on the independent side forever, basically?
I think I'm gonna try and work my way up. So if anything, especially with film, since I'm going to college for it, I definitely think that I will want to find, a good job within a company first, and then slowly work my way up to being the top of that company, because I know, and I hate being like this, but like I'm the type of person that does not like to work with other people, especially for film, because creative differences will make or break me. Like really. And it's just really hard for me to be able to try and combine a lot of people's creative differences without making it too like clashing against each other, and that's me
Absolutely.
personally, and I'm trying to get past that milestone now. It's slowly getting there, but that would definitely be something that I'm trying to do. If anything, start at the bottom and work my way up, and same thing with things like dance and stuff. I don't see myself doing something professionally in dance, like being in a company or something like that, but it's definitely going to stay with me like for the rest of my life. It's something that I want to do, even if I'm like a teacher for little kids or something, when I grow up. And as far as writing, I suppose that will be with time, because as far as I've studied about myself, it's like a new book every 2 years, maybe every year, every 2 years. So I'm sure that'll keep going as I
Nice.
grow up.
Nice. What would you say is, I want you to speak your 5-year plan or goal into existence right now. Like, I want you to say exactly what you're going to be doing in 5 years.
In 5 years, I will be out of college, more than likely, freshly graduated from college. I will have a good job being if not a film PA, then a assistant director for a major company. No, not DreamWorks, their animation. Any type of major company that will take me in and give me an opportunity to share my creative works and stuff. I will have a nice apartment or house in California. I will probably have a dog or two, because I love pets, even a cat. And I will just be able to uphold myself financially. I will be able to live and do stuff that I want to do, be taking dance classes on the side, be taking music lessons on the side. I might have like a few more books out, still making money from that, but definitely just being able to live the way that I want to live and not have to worry about like, what's the next job I have to get. Just living kind of carefree and being in touch with like everything around me.
Absolutely. I have 2 more questions. I don't want to hold you up much longer. I know you just got out of school and you want to, take a load off and relax. First is, what would you say is your hot tip or hot take you want to give anybody, whether it's somebody younger than you, somebody older than you, who just needs that nugget of inspiration?
Don't take crap from nobody, man. And I said that before, but like you need to develop that thick skin on you. You can't let everything get to your head, and you can't let everything get to you. And that also is for aggression too. I know a lot of people, when they get stuff like to them, they get sad, but you can't get aggressive either, because that shows obviously who has control in the situation, and this may be like some severe type of stuff that I might be saying, oh, I won't have to worry about that. No, but it happens a lot more than you think. People will genuinely try to like tick you off for no reasons at times. And that's like one of the reasons you really need to find that thick skin, that good brain, where you don't have to react to everything that you see, but also know your importance, like where you are and stuff. So yeah, don't take crap from nobody and have fun. Don't let it get boring, please. My English teacher likes to say that if you are bored at that moment, then you are a boring person. I almost had an attitude when she said that, but then I was like, okay, that's actually kind of true. So find something in the moments where you are bored to entertain yourself. Don't always be the person who is overly bored and has nothing to do. Try and really engage yourself in everything that you do, because you don't know what you can learn. So yeah, have fun and don't let people get to you.
Awesome. Last but not least, I always ask this question for everybody, of course, and it is, how can people stay in touch with you? Where can they find you on social media? And how can they support any of your projects?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram under Nichelle Joi _official. And I'm on Facebook under my same name, Nichelle Joi. And I'm also on Amazon. Guess what? Nichelle Joi. And a website under Nichelle Joi as well.
And Joy is spelled Joi, everybody. NICHELLEJOI.
Yep.
For the official spelling, just to let everybody know. Awesome. Well, Nichelle, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day. You are an impressive woman. Really, you are a very impressive woman, and you are gonna do 100 more million things in this lifetime. And I hope I get to be witness to it. And I hope you get to come back and share it with me, so I can be like, I knew you when you were young. Now look at you. Look at you 16 years from now and 16 more years from now. So thank you for your time, and you have an amazing, amazing day and the rest of your school year and just an amazing career.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and you have an amazing day.
You as well.
Thank you.